Mr. President, why are you still talking to the obstructionists whose sole goal is to ensure your failure when you can't even get your own party in line? What part of the equation am I missing here? Isn't the first rule of politics to have your votes lined up before you engage the opposition? If what you are practicing is hard-nosed Chicago politics, then that school of politics is highly overrated and far more provincial than we out here in the provinces have been led to believe. I, for one, think that the original Mayor Daley, Richard Joseph Daley, would be apoplectic over your current predicament. He had no problem busting hippies' heads in 1968 just to show them who was the boss. Whether he knew that the far left in those days shared their core values with the party was and is beside the point. He had a party, a city, and a political machine to run, and he did what in his estimation was required to run it. I am not defending his goon squad that sucker punched Dan Rather on the floor of the convention. However, when the mayor of Chicago today, 41 years later, is still named Daley, it seems like you should have learned a little more about the real machinations of Chicago-style politics. And so should have your chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, who more than anyone else is responsible for the problem you find yourself in right now. In the interest of full disclosure, I worked for the re-election of one of the only so-called blue dogs who, although only recently, has begun offering support for health care reform. I didn't do it because she espouses conservative values, but because I have known her since before she ever ran for the state legislature. I was doubly motivated because I have been exposed to the blithering nonsense her GOP opponent has spouted since he became the Gooper's replacement for the term-limited seat his blathering big brother had to give up in 2000 in the state legislature. This Gooper got whipped in a so-called swing district for the same reason that the GOP has shrunk to a mere regional party. Can I make this any clearer? Mr. President, the wedge that Lee Atwater and Newt Gingrich drove into the heart of American politics 25 years ago remains to this day. It no longer cleaves the electorate into halves, but it remains. You're not going to be able to heal the scars from this wedge. Hell, you might not even be able to remove it until you can lead this country. And you're not going to be able to lead the country when your own party is stabbing you in the back. At least the GOP has the unmitigated chutzpah, what with their 30% rating among the American people, to spit in your face. If the Blue Dogs are scared of such wimpy support for any GOP candidate they may face in their re-election bid, well, too bad, so sad. I would rather see them fail to be reelected than you, Mr. President. And I am willing to wager my life that if you showed some spine and gave this country what it needs so badly, not only would your re-election be a slam dunk, but your legacy would already be assured. In closing, I want to thank everyone who has offered their support, advice, and especially humor for my upcoming hunger strike. I understand what is at stake, and I just want you to know that depending on what happens when Congress reconvenes after the Labor Day vacation, I reserve the right to move up the date when I start. If and when I make such a decision, I will post it here. Thank you, and please call or email your representatives to support House Resolution 676, the single-payer bill introduced by Representative Anthony Weiner of New York. Do not send them mail. Mail takes forever because of the security in place to prevent lunatics from sending them anthrax spores. So thanks again, and I hope to see you soon.